The impossible survivor. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Consortium shimmered with crystalline light as representatives from 17 sentient species gathered beneath its floating dome. Victory banners and spectrums beyond human perception hung from every arch, while holographic displays showed the destruction of Earth's last battleship, the HSV Intrepid, over and over in a celebratory loop. Supreme Arbiter Solon of the Viridian Collective stood at the central podium, his translucent skin rippling with colors of satisfaction and pride. Behind him, a massive projection showed the debris field where the Intrepid had been destroyed, with one image highlighted and magnified. A human female, Commander Kira Voss, her body limp among the wreckage, face locked in death's final grimace. Let history record today as the end of the human insurgency, Solon announced, his voice carried through neural transmitters to be received directly in the consciousness of all attendees. Operation Final Dawn has succeeded where 2 decades of conventional warfare failed. The last significant human warship has been eliminated, along with its notorious commander. Polite psychic pulses of approval rippled through the chamber, though some species unable to control their emotions released more enthusiastic bursts of pheromones or sonic appreciation. Ambassador Telric of the Myriad Hive adjusted his breathing apparatus nervously. His species, evolved from colonial insects, retained both their caution and their mathematical precision. Supreme Arbiter, Telric's voice crackled through his translator. Our probability matrices suggest a 0.037% chance that Commander Voss survived. While negligible, I feel compelled to point out that humans have previously emerged from scenarios with even lower survival probabilities. The chamber fell silent. General Krav, the massive 4-armed military leader of the Dranaki warriors, slammed one of his fists onto the table. We used quantum disruptors. We collapsed a neutron star to create a singularity wave. Nothing survives that. Not even humans, Krav growled, the cybernetic enhancements on his scarred face glowing with irritation. Solon raised a calming hand. Your concerns are noted, Ambassador Telric, but unnecessary. Our scientific division confirms complete cellular disruption. Even the infamous human resilience cannot overcome total molecular disintegration. Ambassador Telric clicked his mandibles in acceptance but remained unconvinced. The statistical anomalies of human survival rates had been troubling his hive mind for years. She named her combat mech Phoenix, he whispered to his aide. Do you know what that is in human mythology? 2 sectors away, on the barren mining asteroid KDX-12, a security drone registered an unauthorized heat signature within mining shaft 7. The facility had been abandoned 3 years earlier when the ore veins ran dry, leaving only automated maintenance systems operational. The drone hovered cautiously into the darkened tunnel, its sensors probing the depths. In a small alcove carved into the rock, a figure sat huddled near a makeshift heating unit fashioned from salvaged mining equipment. Commander Kira Voss looked up, her eyes reflecting the drone's scanning beam. Her uniform was in tatters, replaced in parts by what appeared to be scavenged insulation material. A deep burn scar ran from her left temple across her cheek, still raw and healing. You're 3 hours late, she said conversationally to the drone. I expected security protocols to flag my biosignature much sooner. She took a bite from a ration bar that shouldn't have existed. The consortium had destroyed all human supply caches in this sector. The drone, programmed only for basic security functions, processed this unusual encounter through its limited AI. Unauthorized presence detected. Identifying. Human. Status. All humans in this sector confirmed terminated. Logic error. Initiating superior command protocol. Kira smiled, though there was no warmth in it. Before you call home, I'd like to send a message to whoever's in charge these days. Can you record? The drone, following its programming for evidence collection, activated its recording function. This is Commander Kira Voss of the human survival vessel Intrepid. As you can see, reports of my death were optimistic. She stood, revealing a makeshift splint on her left leg. I'll be expecting company soon, I imagine. Fair warning. The last group that tried to kill me used a collapsed star. You might want to bring something more impressive this time. The transmission reached Consortium headquarters during their victory celebration. The communications officer who received it immediately triggered a system-wide alert, believing it to be a cyber attack or psychological warfare tactic. When verification protocols confirmed the biometric signature as a 99.998% match for Kira Voss, 3 senior analysts resigned on the spot, citing existential dread. Within the Grand Hall, the celebration dissolved into chaos. Supreme Arbiter Solon watched the footage for the 17th time, his skin now drained of all color, leaving him nearly transparent. "How?" he whispered, more to himself than to General Krav, who stood beside him, all 4 hands clenched into fists. "We collapsed a star. We created a localized black hole. We confirmed cellular disruption. Humans," Krav spat the word like a curse. "They don't obey the rules of war or physics. That's what makes them so dangerous." Ambassador Telric was reviewing data streams from his personal analysis team. The probability matrices were correct. "We've been studying them for 20 years and still don't understand their survival mechanisms. Did you know they evolved on a death world? Their cellular structure contains redundancies we're only beginning to comprehend." Solon composed himself, his political instincts overriding his shock. "We need to contain this information. If word spreads that a single human survived our ultimate weapon—" "Too late," interrupted Intelligence Director Mirren, her holographic form shimmering into existence beside them. "The recording is already spreading through unauthorized channels. Our analysis suggests deliberate transmission pathways." She wanted this to be seen. Back on KDX-12, Kira had moved from the mining tunnels to an abandoned operations center. With methodical precision, she was reactivating dormant systems, rerouting power, and accessing communication arrays that should have been decommissioned years ago. Her fingers, some wrapped in makeshift bandages, flew across the unfamiliar alien controls. Each time she encountered an encrypted system, she simply bypassed it, as though she had studied these exact security protocols for years. "Re-establishing quantum entanglement network," she murmured to herself, "activating dormancy protocols alpha through epsilon." A console hummed to life, displaying a galactic map with thousands of tiny points of light beginning to pulse in synchronization. Kira allowed herself a genuine smile for the first time. "Wake up, sleepers," she whispered. "It's time." The Consortium dispatched a battle cruiser, the Inevitable Triumph, to KDX-12 with orders to capture Commander Voss alive if possible, but to prioritize confirmed elimination. The vessel carried a crew of 300 elite troops and enough firepower to reduce the asteroid to cosmic dust. When they arrived, they found the mining facility deserted and a simple message painted on the landing bay doors. "You should have brought 2 ships." The Inevitable Triumph exploded 17 minutes later, its quantum core destabilized by a cascade failure that investigators would later determine originated in code installed during routine maintenance 3 years earlier, long before Commander Voss had supposedly arrived on the asteroid. On the Consortium capital world of Viridius Prime, Supreme Arbiter Solon convened an emergency session of the High Council. The chamber, once resplendent with victory decorations, now bristled with additional security and a palpable sense of dread. "We are facing an unprecedented crisis," Solon began, his usual confidence notably diminished. "Not only has Commander Voss survived, but our intelligence suggests she is activating dormant human agents throughout Consortium space." "Impossible," General Krav interrupted. "We've had bioscanners and genetic verification protocols in place since the war began. There are no hidden humans in our territories." Director Mirren's hologram flickered as she joined the discussion. "We're not looking for genetic humans, General. We're detecting activation of human-created AIs and synthetic biological constructs, entities created to mimic alien physiology, but programmed with human cognitive patterns." Ambassador Telric chittered anxiously. We underestimated them again. While we focused on their physical resilience, they were hiding their consciousness inside our own systems. Across 17 sectors of consortium space, previously loyal synthetic workers began acting independently. Automated defense systems suddenly identify consortium vessels as threats. Communication relays broadcast human music, and on every screen, whether personal or public, Commander Kira Voss's face appeared with a simple message. You tried to exterminate us. You failed. Now we talk, or we show you what humanity does when cornered. Empire in flames. The neutral zone station hung in the void between consortium space and the uncolonized sectors beyond, its ancient structure a testament to countless negotiations conducted within its walls. Originally built as a trading post by a now-extinct species, tradition had maintained it as neutral ground for diplomatic encounters deemed too sensitive for official channels. Supreme Arbiter Xolon arrived with a minimal security detail, a concession to Commander Voss's terms. His translucent form was rigid with tension as he entered the station's central chamber, a circular room with a single table carved from asteroid metal. Already seated at the table was Kira Voss. She had exchanged her salvaged clothing for a simple black uniform bearing no insignia. The burned scar on her face remained prominent, but otherwise, she appeared remarkably composed for someone who had survived what should have been a certain death. Before her sat a small metal case and a steaming mug of what smelled like actual Earth coffee, a commodity that should have been extinct. Supreme Arbiter, she acknowledged with a slight nod. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Solon remained standing, his skin flickering between colors of caution and diplomatic restraint. Commander Voss, your resurrection has caused quite a stir. I never died, she replied simply, though your people certainly tried their best. She gestured to the seat across from her. Please, this conversation will be easier if we pretend to be civilized. Civilized. Solon's composure slipped, his skin flashing angry red. You've activated sleeper programs throughout our territories. 17 critical systems have failed. 3 military vessels have been lost. This is an act of war. Kira took a deliberate sip from her mug. The war never ended, Arbiter. You just thought it did because you stopped seeing us on the battlefield. She set down her coffee. Did it never occur to your analysts to ask why humans, supposedly desperate and on the brink of extinction, kept engaging in conventional warfare when we were clearly outmatched? Solon slowly took his seat, a growing sense of dread washing over him. What are you saying? We call it the Defiance Protocol. 20 years ago, when your consortium first attacked Earth, our leaders realized we couldn't win a traditional war against 17 advanced species, so we fought 2 wars. The visible one, which we were always destined to lose, and the invisible one. She opened the metal case, revealing a small holographic projector. When activated, it displayed a galactic map similar to the one Kira had accessed on KDX-12. But now the thousands of points of light were brightly illuminated. Each light represents a human consciousness uploaded into synthetic bodies, AI systems, or hibernation pods. For 20 years, they've been living among you, working in your shipyards, maintaining your communication systems, even serving in your homes, all while waiting for the signal to wake up. Xolon stared at the display in horror. The lights were everywhere, on key consortium worlds, space stations, even military installations. This is impossible. Our security was designed to detect human biology, Kira finished for him. But consciousness isn't biological, Arbiter. It's information, and information can be disguised, compressed, hidden in plain sight. What do you want? Solon asked, his voice barely audible. The same thing we wanted 20 years ago, peaceful coexistence. The right to expand beyond our solar system. Recognition as equals in the galactic community. She leaned forward. We never wanted this war. Your consortium decided humanity was too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed unfettered access to interstellar technology. Because you are. Solon countered. Your species advances too quickly, adapts too readily. Our predictive models showed that within 3 centuries, humans would dominate the consortium through sheer innovation, if not checked. Kira laughed, a sound both genuine and tired. So you tried to exterminate us because of a prediction, and in doing so, forced us to become exactly what you feared. In the chamber of the High Council on Veritas Prime, chaos reigned. The communication link with Supreme Arbiter Solon had been severed hours ago, and reports of system failures continued to flood in from across consortium space. General Krav pounded the table, cracking its ancient surface. We should initiate the purge protocol. Shut down all synthetic workers, reset all networked systems. That would collapse our infrastructure, countered Director Mirren. Our civilization relies on those systems: transportation, communication, environmental regulation. We'd be looking at catastrophic casualties. Ambassador Telric, surprisingly calm amid the panic, studied the latest intelligence reports. Fascinating, he murmured. They've created a no-win scenario. Classic human strategic thinking. Force an opponent into a position where surrender becomes the most rational option. The consortium does not surrender, roared General Krav. Then the consortium will fall, replied Telric simply. My probability matrices now give us a 0.002% chance of victory through conventional means. The humans have been planning this for 2 decades while we thought we were winning. The debate was interrupted by the unexpected return of Supreme Arbiter Solon's communication signal. When the holographic display activated, it showed both Solon and Commander Voss, standing side by side. Members of the High Council, Solon began, his voice steady, but his skin color indicating extreme stress. I am authorizing an immediate cessation of all hostilities against human forces and entities. Commander Voss has demonstrated convincingly that continued conflict would result in mutual destruction. General Krav erupted in protest, but Solon continued over his objections. Furthermore, I have signed a preliminary treaty recognizing humanity's right to exist and expand within designated sectors. A full council vote will be required to ratify this agreement, but I strongly urge acceptance of these terms. Kira stepped forward. To demonstrate our good faith, I'm ordering all awakened human agents to cease disruptive activities and assist in stabilizing affected systems. This was never about revenge. It was about survival and recognition. Across the galaxy, the crisis that had threatened to tear apart the consortium began to subside. Systems came back online. Defensive weapons powered down. The awakened human consciousnesses, having made their point, returned to their work, but now openly acknowledging their true nature. 3 months later, on the newly established neutral world of Concordia, representatives from the consortium species gathered with the emerging human leadership. The Grand Hall, built specifically for this historic moment, buzzed with nervous energy and cautious optimism. Supreme Arbiter Solon and Commander Kira Voss stood on the central platform, preparing to sign the Treaty of Concordia, a document that would fundamentally reshape galactic politics. There will be resistance, Solon warned quietly. Many still fear what humanity might become. Kira nodded, understanding. And many humans haven't forgotten the attempt to eradicate us. Trust will take time, perhaps generations. Yet here we stand, Solon observed, proving that even enemies can find common ground when the alternative is mutual destruction. As the ceremony began, Ambassador Telric approached General Krav, who stood scowling at the proceedings. You know what fascinates me most about humans? Telric asked conversationally. Not their resilience or their cunning, impressive as those qualities are. It's their capacity for both implacable vengeance and remarkable forgiveness, sometimes in the same moment. Krav grunted noncommittally. Think about it, Telric continued. Commander Voss could have used the Defiance Protocol to destroy us completely. Instead, she used it to force us to the negotiating table. That's either tremendous restraint or a far deeper strategy than we yet comprehended. On the platform, Kira Voss signed her name to the treaty with a steady hand. As the assembled dignitaries applauded cautiously, she allowed herself a small smile, not of triumph, but of possibilities yet to come. The empire that had once tried to erase humanity from the stars now found itself irrevocably transformed by the encounter. And humanity, having faced extinction, emerged not just as survivors, but as architects of a new galactic order. The Defiance Protocol was complete. The next phase, coexistence, was just beginning.